Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Horror Debate. I'm Michael Mandy and he's Rowdy Jeff.
And this week we are debating The Changeling from 1980, directed by Peter Medak. Medak?
I don't know.
Yeah, okay. And Starring. Who are we starring
General
here?
George S. Patton himself, George C. Scott.
I was trying to think of a cool name for him, but yeah, you're
General
right.
Patton, that's a pretty good one right there, man.
George C. Scott, exactly.
And his wife, Trish Van Devere.
Yep. And
boy, I tell you, they don't make actors like that anymore, huh?
I'll tell you what, man. You know, I'm not really into the older movies, as you know.
Well, this is a 1980 film, so it's 27 years, almost 30 years.
And I'm looking at you like, oh man, this is gonna put me out, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is gonna put me out. And we're watching it late night. I'm like, come on, man. This is like, you know, there's no way I'm gonna make it through it. But I did.
Yep.
I did, and it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad.
They don't make movies like this anymore, do they, Jeff?
Nah, well, they try.
No, they don't. They don't have people who look like they've been around the block a few times. These older there was only like 2 people in this movie who were under the age of 40.
Right.
And every time you saw them, they were smoking a cigarette somewhere.
Right,
you
right.
know?
Well, you know, and the thing is about George C. Scott, I've seen him in so many different things, and he always, we've said this before about other actors, but he always lends that credibility, you know, that old school mentality of acting.
Just by him being in the film has this presence that adds class to the film.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So basically what we're looking at here is...
the plot basically is George C. Scott has he lost his wife and child when they were living in New York, and so he wants to recover, and so he gets a job at his old alumni in Seattle, a big college, and so he's teaching music over in college.
Yeah.
And so he rents this house from the Historical Society, and he hears strange noises and weird things start happening in this house he rents.
What do you think his rent was for that house?
Oh, I don't know. That was the hugest house, wasn't it?
That thing was massive. It just kept kind of going, you know?
It was huge.
And you got to say, I know you mentioned this during the movie to me, is that this film actually came before the Amityville Horror, right?
And a lot of these little things that happen in this movie happened to in the Amityville Horror.
Exactly.
Well, you know, 79, 80, they were both around the same time.
Well, there was a lot of parallels between the two that I noticed, you know?
Scary house, he leaves the house. No, wait, I got to run back in. No, don't go back in the house. You know, there's some of that.
I was surprised at the quality, not just of the movie itself, but the actual visual quality of the DVD. It looked better than a lot of the newer films that we have reviewed recently.
Yeah.
Nice and clean and clear.
27-year-old film stock. It looked pretty good.
We're watching, the outdoor scenes of Seattle, and I mentioned
the Space Needle in the distance.
Yeah, I mentioned to you. I said, now, what better place to do a haunted house movie than the dank, dark depths of Seattle?
When they're searching for the hidden well, and it's right on the shores of a river or lake or whatever, and just hearing the water lapping up against the shore.
Yeah.
As they're walking up to the house. And
this is like the perfect flick. If you want to go back and you want to do a haunted house movie, this is like in the top 3 of the movies you ought to be checking out.
Yeah.
Right?
This is a great, typical haunted house movie.
This, Amityville, and The Original Haunting.
Yeah.
Right? That would be your top 3.
Classic. Or maybe Legend of Hell House.
Yeah.
But this is a great haunted house movie. It's really too bad it didn't do better. I mean, when you go onto a list of somewhere and you say, name me some good haunted house movies, you're going to always see the Amityville Horror. You're never going to see this, and it's really a shame.
Right.
The only problem I have with this film, because I saw this in the movie theater, way back when. The only problem I have is at the very, very, very end, the movie didn't really have a big climactic bang type ending, so they forced one on you.
Yeah.
Having the wheelchair,
there was a lot of things happening, but it wasn't like your big deal. You're right.
And so that part really wasn't needed. He could have just shown up at the house, and there she was, freaking out, seeing the house burning down, and oh my God, I thought you were in there.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I love it. Perfect movie.
It was perfect movie. I don't know if I go that far.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Otherwise.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, it would have been A. I thought the music was great.
I was just going to mention that the soundtrack added a ton to this film because
the person who did the music on this just added everything to it.
not just the music, but the sound effects of Joseph, the ghost, right?
The little kid,
how he's answering questions on the tape. I mean, you can hear the voice on the tape.
This was 1980. We didn't have EVP and white noise as popular.
What does Alien versus Predator have to do with this?
No, I just AVP.
Okay. Well, Eddie versus Predator.
Electronic voice phenomenon, EVP, electronic voice phenomenon. You see it on Ghost Hunters all the time. They're walking around with a tape recorder.
Ghost Hunters, I give it 5 stars.
Yeah,
I love Ghost Hunters.
I know you
Jason
do.
and Grant rule. We ought to be doing that
and
stuff.
all their little underlings who speak with the thick Bronx accents.
Yeah, we ought to be doing that stuff, Mike.
Are you the ghost that's bugging us in here? Hey.
Yo, you want to leave us alone? Back
to the Changeling.
Well, the Changeling, like I said, the sound played a huge part in this film, and it added a whole new dimension to it. I thought without the soundtrack, this movie would have been a lot duller.
Yeah, it's a very slow-paced film, but it keeps a grip on you. It's slow, but it's got a good grip on you.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of scenes, it just starts out, and for like 30 seconds, you just see him standing there, smoking a cigarette, and slowly walking from one side to the other. And then he'll say what's going on. Whereas nowadays, they would have cut that whole... he would just start it off saying it.
Yeah.
But, they showed that to build the tension so you could see what's going on in his mind as he's smoking on the cigarette. You can almost read his mind. He's thinking, what am I going to do here?
Yeah.
What's going on?
It dug through that chick's floor, man.
Yeah, with the chainsaw
see how
going
far
through the
that
floor?
went down?
Digging in the well.
In the well down there? I was tripping off that, going, man, you know what? She's got to rebuild.
Wasn't that creepy? The dream the little girl walking in, and the floor, and you look and see.
Yeah,
this
good
movie
stuff.
had creeps everywhere. This is not a film to watch as the second film of a Jason Voorhees type movie.
You're right.
Okay, this is not the second film for that. This is one of those moody, turn the lights off, watch it late at night with no one else around.
Yep.
And it'll freak you out.
Yeah.
4 stars.
It didn't freak me out, but I
It gave me goosebumps.
It did give you goosebumps. I could see quality oozing from it, which I don't get most of the time.
And style.
Most of the time with these older movies, all I see is what? I don't relate to them very well. This movie I did relate to extremely well. The material's still fresh.
Yeah.
It really feels fresh.
It's a great film.
And so I'm going to agree with you. I think it's a 4-star classic flick. The acting was solid. The soundtrack was incredible. It did give you the heebie-jeebies occasionally. Story was somewhat believable.
When he's replaying that tape on the back going back, and you hear the Joseph. Ooh, look, I got goosebumps right now. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it.
Good stuff. Oh, the hair's standing up, man. The fur is standing up. Look at this guy.
See, just thinking about that scene creeped me out. 4 stars.
So we're both highly recommending that. If
this
you're
is a
tired,
Halloween night film.
After
the kids have gone,
maybe. No,
after the kids have gone to bed and they're all done, and it's the last movie.
If you're looking for something
to
go back, go back a little ways to check out, some classic horror stuff, some great elements in this movie. You're not going to go wrong. You might be a tad bored if you're used to the
Jason
boom,
and
boom,
Freddy
kind of thing happening.
It's not Jason and Freddy.
But if you're into storytelling and you're into a good haunted house flick, this one's going to do it for you.
That's what I'm saying. When all the Halloween crud is over with, the kids are in bed and asleep, and all the trick-or-treaters are gone, and you turn the lights off and said, wow, what am I going to do next year? I'm glad it's over. I'm going to bed. Pop this in before you go to sleep.
Highly recommended. 4 stars from both.
4 stars. All right, I'm Michael Mandy. He's Rowdy Jeff, and we will talk to you next week at the Horror Debate.